Welcome back to Director's Choice. Kung Fu Panda is one of the most iconic animated trilogies to have ever graced the big screen. The 3 movies in the original trilogy had all the right elements of an unforgettable series. Animal characters with human feelings and experiences? Check. A funny, optimistic, and endearing protagonist? Check. Missions and villains who ultimately led to life-changing lessons. Wise masters with Tumblr-worthy quotes? Check and check again. And of course, martial arts with the creative twist? Dragon Warrior check.
Citizens of the Valley of Peace, Master Oogway will now choose the Dragon Warrior.
Huh? Oh no, wait!
With what seems like a perfect formula, it is simply expected that a lot of people have watched, rewatched, and rewatched the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, and several other related movies and shows.
I love Kung Fu!
Like most popular entertainment content, Kung Fu Panda has inspired some conspiracy theories, and an unending search for Easter eggs as a topic for Reddit and Twitter threads. But in this episode of Director's Choice, we will be taking a different look at the Kung Fu Panda trilogy.
Oh! Okay. Sorry. I just wanted to see who the Dragon Warrior was.
What events have implied a different narrative to the storyline? How powerful was Po in the real sense of it? We will take a look at the answers to these questions, hoping that we can find out if Kung Fu Panda was all a dream. No need to wait any further, let's get right to it. Before Po became the Dragon Warrior, or even a Kung Fu Panda, to begin with, he was Lotus Shan. Lotus and his family lived in a panda-dominated village located in southern China, until the peacock villain, Lord Shen, and his pack of wolves attacked the pandas. Lotus, aka Po, escaped thanks to his mom and wound up in Mr. Ping's noodle shop at the Village of Peace. On the other side of China, Lotus had been hidden in a crate of radishes, and after finding the young cub, Mr. Ping decided to keep him safe and bring him up as his own son. Then Lotus was renamed Po, and he grew up to become an experienced noodle maker with a comically awkward personality, a love for snacks, and an obsession with Kung Fu. Po was a fan of the Furious Five, a group of Kung Fu fighters under the tutelage of Master Shifu. His love for Kung Fu and admiration of the Furious Five led Po to try anything possible to get a glimpse at the ceremony where the Grand Master of the Jade Palace would name the Dragon Warrior, a much coveted title. And Po did more than get a glimpse. His firework share attempt was just to get within the palace, but he crashed. When he opened his eyes, Po realized that he'd ended up right in front of the Grand Master.
What are you pointing? Oh! Okay.
In the series of events that followed, Po was named the Dragon Warrior and brought into the Jade Palace to begin his Kung Fu training. He would go on to let go of most of his personal doubts and insecurities, become a reputable Kung Fu master, defeat villains from his past and present, and be reunited with his biological father and community. But we don't think that's what really happened.
Stop fighting. Let it flow.
Remember that crash we mentioned? Po crashed, and that was it. When he landed in the Jade Palace, Po fell into an altered consciousness that had him imagining all the events that played out in Kung Fu Panda. Yes, you heard that right. We think the whole storyline of Kung Fu Panda was a dream. Everything from the training to the missions and endless adventures. And you don't have to believe us. But check out our reasons.
But I don't understand. You finally had the noodle dream.
I lied. I don't dream about noodles, Dad.
We've established that Po was a huge fan of the Furious Five. But maybe we haven't stressed just how much he wanted to be part of that squad. Po was a literal fanboy for the squad, and an opportunity to see them would have been the highlight of his young adult life.
Yeah. Excellent.
His love for Kung Fu only served to make his admiration of the Furious Five more intense. Po loved everything about Kung Fu, but he felt that he would never be able to learn and master it like the members of the Furious Five. So he stuck with admiring them from afar. When the ceremony for the announcement of the Dragon Warrior was announced, Po was ready to risk everything to attend. But he had a commitment to keep with Mr. Ping. When Po finished selling off his cart, getting into the palace was a challenge. But he couldn't miss the chance to see his idols.
Hey! Open the door! Let me in!
Though his innovative ideas reflected passion and commitment, he was actually driven by his desire to see the Furious Five. When he crashed into the palace and fell into sleep, as we've chosen to call it.
Master, are you pointing at me?
Him?
Who?
You?
Me?
The universe has brought us the Dragon Warrior.
What?
He began to dream about this perfect reality. In that version of his life, which was what we see in the Kung Fu Panda movies, Po gets closer to the members of the cool squad, and he even learns from their master. Po takes the lead in their missions and almost always saves the day, which is something that would probably never happen in his real life. Po was simply asleep and experiencing Kung Fu like he had wanted to for all his life, along with the same people that he admired for the longest time. This dream was simply a way for him to translate his wishes and desires into happenings, which we saw in the Kung Fu Panda animated trilogy. After all, that's what the evidence is pointing toward.
Fourth, the true path to victory is to find your opponent's weakness and make him suffer for it. Oh, yeah!
Po was an insecure panda, and there was no doubt about that. He lacked confidence in different measures. While he was supposedly uninterested in running his adopted father's noodle shop, Po never chalked up the confidence to tell him.
About what?
Huh?
What were you dreaming about?
What was I was dreaming about, noodles.
Until after he got into the Jade Palace. Po didn't believe in his own abilities and skills. He let himself be walked over quite easily by almost everyone. And he thought his place was at the bottom ranks of the world. Though we don't know why he was this way at the beginning. It could be associated with his disconnection from his family and other pandas from a young age. Having to grow up as a large animal under the care of a relatively smaller animal and be restricted to a domestic role, those things were enough to make him lack an identity. Po also had some low self-esteem.
Who are you?
I've been asking the same question. Am I the son of a panda? The son of a goose? A student? A teacher? Turns out, I'm all of them.
After he got into the palace and began his training, his insecurities came out in full bloom because he had lost the identity of the panda from the noodle shop. He was on his own, and he had to toughen up to survive Master Shifu's training. We think that Po was simply projecting his fears and insecurities into this alternate reality he was living out in his dream. He wanted to find a way to deal with the problems he'd faced, but at the same time, he didn't want to deal with the outcome in reality. So he added bits of all his insecurities in this dream version that we watched in the Kung Fu Panda movies. Po had a fear of abandonment, and quite conveniently, towards the end of the trilogy, we see him find his way back to the community of pandas, which is the one true place where he wouldn't have to define his identity by himself. Isn't that a little too perfect?
Wow! Are you kidding me?
Where'd he go?
Master.
He's gone, guys. It's cool.
Po was an optimistic character before and after the crash that led to his supposed dream. However, his optimism stretched out way beyond realistic results in the animated trilogy. Firstly, all the villains he faced had one thing or the other to do with him, and it seemed like he was only accomplishing missions to help himself attain new levels of self-awareness and let go of his past struggles.
I am the Dragon Warrior. Get it? See the giant dragon? Get ready to feel the thunder!
Defeating Tai Lung was a test of his training and title as the Dragon Warrior. Defeating Lord Shen was him letting go of the demons in his past. And defeating Kai was him accepting his new abilities and returning to be with his own kind. Looking at the situation from this perspective, it appears that a lot of the missions and accomplishments were driven by Poe's selfish interests. He wanted his life to pan out as optimistically as he expected it to. He did all of that through a dream. Realistically, some of the events that happened simply wouldn't because of the irregularities of life. Think about it for a second. How is it that he was able to reunite with his father when Lord Shen and his pack of wolves set fire to the village and went on a brutal murdering spree? Fine, the creators may have introduced Deus Ex Machina as an interjectory to bring Li Shan into Poe's future, but we still stick with the theory that all of it was Poe's dream. One of the most iconic parts of the Kung Fu Panda movies is the Dragon Scroll, which was the most significant part of becoming the Dragon Warrior. Poe became the Dragon Warrior and was eventually given the scroll, which was supposed to contain great secrets, but it was completely empty.
There is no secret ingredient. It's just you.
With some advice and introspection, Poe came to realize that the empty scroll simply meant that he didn't have to rely on predetermined instructions to live his life. He simply had to be who he wanted to be without thinking about limitations. And that was the message of his dream. But do you agree that it was a dream?
Who are you?
Buddy, I am the Dragon Warrior.
Poe is an amazing character despite his flaws and shortcomings. His positive outlook on life is refreshing, but it could be a little bit out of the box of reality. We've presented the evidence to you, based on facts from the 3 original Kung Fu Panda movies. And now it's time for you to be the judge and jury. Was Kung Fu Panda all a dream? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us as we tried to figure out if Kung Fu Panda was all a dream. Take a look at this other recent clip by Director's Choice. And make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.